I'm Craig Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about why would he leave a supportive partner?
This can be really hard to wrap your mind around.
Absolutely. If you feel like you were a good partner, you showed up, you encouraged them, you were emotionally attuned, you were loving, you treated them so good, why would they leave you? Mm-hmm. It's so confusing. Because you're like, I know I treat this person better than most people have treated them, or I know I showed up in a really consistent, loving way. How can they walk away from me?
Mm-hmm. It's really mind-boggling. When you show up especially as your best self, some of you have had pretty rocky previous relationships. You can acknowledge your own mistakes in prior relationships, but in this one you're saying, well, I really showed up. I really showed this person the best side of myself. My character really shined in this relationship, and they still left. So it can leave us with a lot of self-doubt, and it can cause us to spiral and wonder about what's really going on.
Yeah. I think in a lot of situations, the person is struggling with their own mental health or feeling a lot of stressors or outside factors maybe influencing them, maybe work stuff or family pressures, things like that. But a lot of times it has to do with them and some kind of struggle that they're going through, maybe some insecurities or something, and that's what leads to a breakup, right? So we got a good email coaching today from somebody who sounds like they tried to be a pretty supportive partner, and yet the guy left her, and now she's feeling pretty devastated, and I think she's really beating herself up here. Okay. So let's get into this one. This is from a woman in her late 30s, dating a guy who's kind of in his mid 30s, and they met in springtime of last year. She says, we talked about engagement but never got married or were living together. He broke up with me just a few weeks ago. He was everything I needed. He was kind and attentive to everyone around him. I loved his family right away. I felt I was home. His life was complicated. He was working on getting his first child back and fighting for the second one with different exes. Wow. Okay, so that's stressful. Mm-hmm. He's trying to get custody or maybe partial custody of one kid and maybe full custody of the other. That could be a lot of drama. We got two different women here. But
dealing with the system.
Yeah.
Just imagining how much stress that is.
And I will say that both of these kids are under the age of 5. Okay? Mm-hmm. So two different women, relatively close together. Sounds like a bit of drama there. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe he was rushing into relationships. It's hard to say. But just something to consider. Right. We became each other's support system. I encouraged him to go back to school and even helped him start his business to get out from under an abusive boss. He encouraged me to pursue my dreams too. So that sounds like she was doing everything that she could to be a supportive partner, a secure base, be loving, encouraging, you know. So it sounds like she was doing a good job from what we could see. Mm-hmm. Because of his history, he was very insecure. We live about an hour away at the time, and he could not drive. We don't know why. Does he have some kind of DUI? Does he have no license for some reason? I don't know. But that would be an important thing to understand. Maybe he's got some kind of legal issues. Right. Not sure. He thought I was cheating constantly. Okay, so that's a bit of a red flag. Right. Based on what she's written so far, it doesn't sound like she did anything that would make him think that. So that makes me think that he's insecure and always maybe blaming somebody for being traumatized from cheaters. Maybe he was cheating himself and projecting it onto her.
Right. It's kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
We don't know what he's been through, and a little bit more context as to why he can't drive, and also as to his relationship with his children and their mothers is also important here. She's just getting snippets of what his relationship looks like, and, kudos to him for being transparent with her enough for her to know this information. We don't know about the full story.
Yeah.
She knows enough at this point.
He got one of his children back about 6 months ago. I was afraid of getting attached because they're so infectiously sweet. They had so much instability for being such a young child. Okay, so that makes me again wonder, like, how much drama has gone on here in this child's life with him and this ex. I don't know, but it certainly seems like it could be some red flags here. The last month of our relationship, we didn't see each other because I was vomiting constantly. He didn't believe me after a couple of weeks. I found out right before we broke up that I could have a very serious health issue.
Wow.
I'm not going to say what it is. You can see what it is. It's very serious, right? This is a very serious thing that she could be going through. It would explain a lot of vomiting, but it's kind of concerning that he wouldn't believe that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and it seems like he has already been very suspicious of her throughout this entire time. It sounds like she's been nothing but supportive here. And so sometimes you gotta be patient with somebody who's willing to work with you. And it sounds like she's willing to do quite a bit for him here.
I mean, what do you want to do? See me FaceTime me while I'm throwing up here? Like, I mean, do you want to come with me to the doctor's appointment? This is pretty serious stuff she's got going on here. And not to be believed, but that is upsetting too, right?
Yeah.
And I could see why she'd be upset not being believed on top of having a very serious health scare.
Yeah.
1 week after he broke up with me, he was seeing someone new. Someone he met at our park. She has a job where their jobs cross paths. I know this timing is true because there were witnesses and acquaintances of ours. Okay, so I guess she's saying I know that it happened after the breakup. Or after they stopped seeing each other. This is going to get a little confusing here. You'll see. He told me that he broke up with me because he didn't think I wanted a man with a child.
Which is mind-boggling.
Where did this come from?
She was saying if anything she would get too attached to the child.
Yeah. It's very suspicious the way he's saying this, right? He said I'd never be happy tied down.
Okay.
He didn't feel the same anymore. See, that to me feels the most authentic of those excuses.
The others might even be projections. We don't know, but they might be.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like I'm looking for a reason to end this, so I'm just going to say, you're not happy with someone that has a kid. You're not happy with someone who can't drive. You're not happy with it.
And it might also be his insecurities showing up. It might be him feeling some type of way about his inability to drive or whatever it might be, to take more control over his life, and him feeling like a burden. We know that sometimes people with more avoidant attachment styles can do this, where they quit before they get fired. And so it seems like he had a lot going on, and he decided to end things on what he thought that she wanted according to him.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be frustrating. It's like, hang on, why do you ask me if that's what I want? I hate I held so much close to my chest and never said I wanted the whole package. Now, hang on. I don't know how long they were together. It was definitely under a year, right? It sounds like maybe only 5 or 6 months. So it would be okay not to be talking about getting married and having kids and all that stuff at that stage. You could be talking about it a little bit, but I wouldn't be jumping into something that soon. I realized I often said we shouldn't move because his child is so young and they need stability. But I mentioned places we could go. I meant eventually as a family. I only told him I wanted it all when he was trying to have a let's be friends talk. I feel like it was all my fault and I'll never get a chance to fix it. I don't think this is your fault. I think she's saying because I didn't tell him how much I wanted to be with him, he's walking away.
Well, and I think there's something to those words, I'll never get a chance to fix it. And I'm not sure if she was talking about the breakup or him. You know, it almost seemed like there was something about him that she was supportive of, but also trying to be the person to get his life in line. Almost like somebody who's a rescuer or somebody who's, you know, that kind of nurturer, caregiver type character for him.
I feel like she's trying to say, I'm never going to get another chance to fix this. She's scared.
I think there's something deeper going on here.
Yeah. Well, it is concerning because he's insecure. He thinks she's cheating all the time. He doesn't believe her that she's vomiting. I mean, that would be upsetting to be her. Like, you don't believe that I'm vomiting? Here, watch me. I'll go to the bathroom and you can see for yourself. But I'm going to put an end to that real quick, meaning like either you're going to believe me about this or I'm going to have a issue with this going forward. Like, I'm seriously ill. I'm going to doctor's appointments. I don't know what is wrong with me. And you don't even believe that. Like, that's odd. That to me is odd too from him. So I'm just trying to say this because I'm trying to point out that she's beating herself up here when clearly we can see he's doing some things that are not healthy.
Right. And somebody who is insecure, when they're with somebody who is more secure than they are, that can increase their insecurity, right? Because now they're thinking, this is too good to be true. This person could easily leave me for somebody who can drive, who doesn't have kids, you know, who has more of their life in order. And so it almost seems like he was preparing for that, and he kind of preemptively decided to end the relationship thinking that she would eventually leave him. That's just part of the sense of what I'm getting here. And seeing some of the next events, that's also what makes me think that.
This is prepare yourself. If you want to pause it for a minute, 2 minutes, go get some popcorn, come back, because you're about to hear something that, man, if I've heard this before, it's been a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if I've ever heard this one.
Okay. Get that popcorn. You got the popcorn ready? He brought this new woman with him to break up with me, but spent 3 hours talking, crying, hugging, and kissing me behind his house. I didn't know she was there. Well, I guess he would have to bring her because he doesn't drive.
Yeah.
So she must have brought him
God.
to her house. This is wild. For 3 hours. Could you imagine you take this guy that you just start seeing? This is very suspicious, by the way.
Yeah.
And bizarre. To somebody's house. They're talking, crying, hugging, and kissing. Talk about mixed messages.
Yeah.
What if that woman had gotten out of the car and walked around the back of the house
And
and
I just
seen
think,
this?
poor woman, you know, in this situation, you're seeing...
I'm going to get popcorn at this point.
You're right. You're seeing a lot of his character showing up here. Who does that to a person, right?
Yeah, it's cruel.
Who just allows them to be waiting for hours on end while you're actively engaging with somebody that you were dating and had just broken up with. This is unfair to both of these women. You know?
And there's more. I told him I couldn't be friends. I want so much more. The house, the kids, the responsibilities, him, all of it. He said it mattered to him that I was telling him this, but he's just not in a good place to do it now.
Yeah, he's like, well, my new girlfriend is in the house, so I can't
Yeah, I'm
do
not
this
in
now.
a good place right now, but after she takes me back home, maybe I'll be in a good place then. Like,
Yeah.
wait, it doesn't make any logical... Hold on. You're not in a good place to do it with me, but you're in a good place to do it with somebody new?
There's nothing
Come
here
on.
that makes sense. And I wonder, had she known at that moment that the other woman was there, if she would have felt differently about all of this. It's unclear if she knew right then and there, or if she found out after that the woman had been there.
No, she didn't know. She didn't know at the time.
I wonder how she found out.
I
She's
guess
right.
when he was leaving and he
Oh
went to
my
wish her goodbye and he's
goodness.
like, who's the lady in the driveway? Is that your Uber? Yeah, my Uber, that's it.
Oh,
Yeah, my Uber. I can't believe I didn't think of that. Uber.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? No,
Yeah.
but that's really messed up. For him to do to the woman that drove him there and to her. Both of them. And yet she's blaming herself.
Yeah.
That's why I'm kind of like pointing all this out.
And this is also why I see just that element of her trying to fix him here.
Yeah.
You know, where is the her standing up for herself? Where is thinking about what she wants, what she deserves here? And I can also see that she's considering the child in this. We had just gone over a story where the woman almost felt jealous that there was a child in the picture because the woman wasn't being prioritized. In this situation, you almost see the opposite, where this person is almost saying, well, I need to be here for you and this child, and I want the responsibility. I want it, right? To possibly the detriment of herself and of him.
And sacrificing,
if there's
sure.
some enabling happening.
He said, if our paths cross, let's be friends. Obviously, because he wants to see if this girl is better. She has more money than me and spoils him.
Woo.
So now we have another suspicious part of this story.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That he might be using this woman for money.
That's what I would be thinking.
And
too,
Uber
here.
rides.
Right.
And popcorn? He should be supplying us with popcorn.
There's nothing wrong with wanting a supportive partner here, but
It feels exploitive.
Yes. Yeah,
Right.
It does. It does.
Do I have a chance? I miss him, his family, and his kids. I pleaded. I tried to reason. I drove to see him. I bombarded him. He didn't answer my texts or calls except for the day I got my biopsies. And I tried to ask for a goodbye then. He didn't want to hear it. He's being really selfish here. I need a strategy, a plan to follow. I expected he would show up when he found out about my health. He hasn't. Day 4, no contact. Okay, so I wouldn't be looking at this situation as, do you have a chance?
Yeah.
What I read here is that you were there for him, you were supportive of him, you care about him, and maybe you didn't make that abundantly clear, but this was a relatively shorter relationship at the time. But from what he's done, I hear insecure, constantly blaming you for cheating, not believing you for your health issues, having a new woman bring you to your house for the breakup and not telling you that she's there while he's making out with you while the new girl is in the car. What am I forgetting?
The fact that she had given him so many chances to step up to do better, right? So it sounded like she was trying to be a supportive partner to him because she wanted him to be in this role where he's succeeding. He's being able to, gain custody of his children. He's being able to, I don't know if get to the place where he's able to drive. I don't know what his situation is, but get himself to a more comfortable place in life, right? So it seems like he's taken some of those opportunities, right? But there was a certain point where he decided, well, I better get out of this before I get too hurt. I'm going to start a new situation with somebody who might be willing to invest for a period of time and see where that
Spoil
goes.
him that has money.
Right.
To me, I mean, she says she knows that this other woman came after the breakup, which is odd because how could that happen if she brought him to the breakup? So a little confusing there. That's why I said earlier, this is a
Almost
little
like they
confusing.
passed the baton to each
It's
other
like,
here.
Yeah, like how
What's happening?
How could the woman come after a week after if she showed up at the house for the time of the breakup? So it's a little confusing. Anyway, there's so much going on in this situation. I don't like that he's saying, you don't want to be with me because I have kids, or you don't want to be with me because you're never going to be happy settling down. It felt dismissive. It felt like I'm looking for reasons to break up with you, so I'm going to tell you why you weren't really happy with me.
Right. And it sounds a bit manipulative, too. Instead of him really being honest about what was going on, he tried to tell you how you felt about things. For me personally, that's one of my biggest pet peeves. Is when somebody tells me how I feel. Only you can know how you feel. And it's
I knew
really...
you'd feel upset about that.
Damn it, Craig.
I knew you were going to be happy in a second later.
That was accurate. But truly, only you can know how you feel in this situation, and it's very unfair to you that you didn't have a voice here, especially as supportive as you were for him. Relationships are not a one-way street, and this is kind of how this relationship is feeling, just from me hearing it.
So you got a lot to think about beyond how do I get this guy back? You got to think about everything that we're saying here, asking yourself these deep questions about, and I think it would be healthy for you to be upset and angry for him being dismissive, him walking away so easily. giving you reasons that don't make a lot of sense. You need to protect yourself. And I think this guy's life is a bit of chaos, and he needs to stabilize and get himself in a good place. You're blaming yourself, but clearly we broke it down to see that his behavior was a lot more concerning than yours. As a matter of fact, I didn't even really see anything that was concerning for her behavior.
Right.
So think about that.
And think about the way that he's treating other women. You know, he allowed this other woman newly that he's dating, that most people are trying to impress the people that they're dating initially. He allowed her to wait for 3 hours while kissing you behind her back. You know, that's no way to treat somebody that you're trying to court, that you're trying to pursue romantically. That's no way to even treat a friend. You know, so just consider those things. They're speaking loudly of his character right here and of his choices. He may have seemed healthy enough when you were supporting him, but you can see that, you know, it doesn't sound like he has enough health to be able to stand on his own here, and he might be depending on women enabling him to be able to be above the surface and not drown. So
not only that, you have a major health issue going on that I don't know the results of that biopsy. I hope everything goes okay for you, but you don't want a partner who's going to abandon you and not believe you about a major health scare. And this is a major one. So you got to think long and hard about if he can give you what you need. I know you're willing to do it, but you need him to step up in all those ways that you're willing to do. And he hasn't shown that. In fact, he's looked for excuses to get out and jump into something new right away.
Right, absolutely.
I'd be thinking long and hard about this one. At the very least, don't reach out to him. And if he reaches out to you, make sure you're hearing him act like an authentic, sincere adult who is going to show you empathy and compassion, and that you can count on his support when you're going through whatever health issues you are. I'd be careful, though.
Yep, I would too.
All right, there's a lot going on in this situation. Protect yourself. Be careful. Hopefully you guys found this one helpful. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you could do that on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Zoom. Coach Victoria is also available for Zoom coaching.
Whenever you'd like to chat, I'll be here on Zoom.
Just click on her name on the top of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.